So welcome to the new and improved, sort of, version of the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. From now on, we will do video versions of these podcasts. And the reason for that is that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been talking to various people, and 3 different guys, all of whom do not know each other, they all said, Caleb, what you should do for your podcasts is they shouldn't just be audio. They should be video. And you just take the audio using a really good microphone, just take the audio and make that a podcast, but have a video version of the podcast and put it on all your video platforms. And I opened my mouth to respond and argue, and I went, oh shit, that's a good point. So this is podcast number 95 of the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. If you are listening to this podcast on all of our usual podcast platforms, iTunes and things like that. And by the way, if you don't know or would like to know where the audio version, the normal version of the real podcast is, go to calebjones.com/podcast. And we're about 6 or 7 different podcast platforms. So if you're on one of those platforms right now, don't worry, everything's the same, no difference. Matter of fact, the microphone is actually better, so the sound quality actually should be better on these podcasts. So new and improved even for you audio guys. If you are watching this podcast, the video version of this podcast, and the video version will go up on all of my video platforms. So in addition to the horrible ones like YouTube and Facebook, it will go up on all the alt tech sites like BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, Minds, etc. If you look at the description for this podcast description, you'll see all the platforms this podcast is posted on. This will not be like a typical YouTube video, even though we posted at YouTube. As you can see, I will be dressed very casually. I will not take any extra effort to look good for you fuckers. I may not be looking at the camera the whole time. Sometimes I'll just be talking off in outer space, off the side of camera or whatever. I may bump the microphone and shit like that. It's gonna be a little raw. And that's the way it goes. You don't like it, this is free content, so fuck you, I don't care. And the reason for that is, one of the reasons I liked the audio podcast is I could literally just roll out of bed and do a podcast. I don't need to do the lighting and put on clothes and fix my hair and take a shower and all that shit. I could just do a podcast. So I will do the video versions of these podcasts, but my compromise is that the video may be a little ugly. Maybe the lighting may not be as good as other videos. I won't be dressed for the part. My hair might be all fucked up, whatever the fuck, and I don't care. Again, this is free. I don't really give a shit if you don't like it. So there you go. I've never done this before. I've never spoke free form on a video. Whenever I do a video, I have a very specific structure I follow. And so for these podcasts, as you know, if you've listened to my podcast, I'm much more relaxed and I'm much more open-ended, and I speak extemporaneously, and I go off topic a few times and shit like that. So I'm not sure how this will work when I'm being videotaped. I don't think I've ever done this when I've been videotaped, unless I do Q&A videos. But that's a little different because you're very directive with the questions. So this is the first time, I think, that I've done a video like this where I have a topic, but no structure or outline or format, and there's a camera on me. So we'll see how I do. Be interesting to see, you guys who are listening to the audio version of this, if you could detect any difference in my voice. So far, I don't think there is, but I don't know. Maybe there will be. I don't know. I really don't know how this will all work out. But let's see what happens. There is a concept in finance that you may have heard of called F you money or fuck you money. Matter of fact, Dan Locke did a whole book on this. And one of my favorite scenes from a movie in the last 20 years is a scene from the movie The Gambler, which is a terrible movie. I do not recommend it. Do not watch this movie. Instead, watch the YouTube clip of the scene. It's a scene where John Goodman, who's one of my favorite actors, and he gets better as he gets older. He's great. Love John Goodman. I just love that guy. And he's yelling at Mark Wahlberg, and he's talking to Mark Wahlberg about the money he lost as a gambler. And Mark Wahlberg says, "Yeah, I'm down $400,000. I'm negative $400,000." And John Goodman says something like, "Well, have you ever been up?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I was up $2 million at one point. It was up $2 million." And John Goodman goes, "You were up $2 million and you kept gambling, you dumb fuck? That's fuck you money. The greatest thing in life is the ability to say, fuck you." He goes, "What you should have done when you're up $2 million, he said," he's really cute. It's a great scene. He's like, "What you do is you go buy a house cash, you put a 30-year roof on it, and then you're done. You can now say fuck you to anybody for the rest of your life. It's awesome. So fuck you money means you have enough money in terms of your net worth now where you don't have to work anymore. And you make enough money and the money supports you to the point, your money and your investments, your passive investments, support you to the point where your lifestyle is good enough where you could say fuck you to anybody. So if anyone tells you what to do, you say fuck you. If someone wants to hire you for a job and you don't want to do it, even if it pays a lot of money, you say fuck you, I don't want to do it. I saw Bill Maher, who I disagree with on just about everything he says in terms of politics, but I like him as a person. He was talking about how he has basically fuck you money, and he'll get offered these corporate gigs, these corporate comedy gigs. He was talking about this, I think, on the Howard Stern show, and he's like, man, the money is insane. They offer to fly you to Dubai, and you do a gig, and the money is insane. He goes, but I don't want to do that. I just don't want to go corporate gigs. I just don't want to do it. So I say, fuck you. I make enough money, and I have enough money where I never do work ever again, and I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. So having fuck you money is a critical goal for you as a man in your life. It is usually not a goal you're going to hit until later in life, unless you're very, very lucky and or very, very usually genius level skilled. I certainly in my 20s did not have enough money to not work. Today, if you are curious, because I've gotten this question, I don't really talk about my internal finances publicly for many reasons, but I've been asked the question, hey, Caleb, could you just not work anymore? Could you have enough money where you just don't need to work? And the answer to that question is complicated because being financially independent like that doesn't factor in the level of lifestyle that you can live. So technically, could I stop working today? Yes, I could. I could stop work. I have enough money. I could stop working today and I'd be good to go the rest of my life. I could retire tomorrow if I wanted to. That's true. However, what is also true is that if I retired tomorrow, there are some lifestyle cuts that I would have to make in my lifestyle that would make me at least a little unhappy. It would make my wife, Pink Firefly, extremely unhappy, but it'd make me a little unhappy. So no. Plus, as I've said many times, I'm never going to retire. Retirement is a stupid concept. It was invented by the Germans in the 1800s. It's a bunch of BS. And so, no, I'm never going to retire. I'm always going to work because I love to work and I'm a motivated guy and I have big goals. And when you stop working when you're a man, that's when you die. So it's just stupid to stop working. You could cut back on work, and I will certainly do that as I get older, but I'm not going to stop working. If I won $1 billion in the lottery, tax-free tomorrow morning, I would still work. The nature of my work would change, but I'd still work. But that's the answer to me having fuck you money. So to me now, and a proper lifestyle is super subjective. So what I consider a minimum lifestyle standard for me is going to be very different than maybe what you would consider a minimal lifestyle standard. A lot of guys would be very happy living in a small apartment with a car and enough money to travel a little bit, and that's it. And if he could afford to do that and not have to work, that he would have fuck you money. Some guys want to live in a mansion and have a Ferrari and, be like Dan Bilzerian and be on the yacht with the machine guns and the 27 girls and the bikinis. And in order to get to that level of income through your investments, you're going to need a lot more money. I am in between those two extremes. So anyway, I've talked a little bit about what I want for my life ideally, and I'm pretty much almost there. At my point in my life, I'm almost there. But anyway, all of this does relate, by the way, to the topic of this podcast, which actually has nothing to do with money. But everything I'm talking about relates directly to what I'm about to talk about. And that is that most guys understand the concept of fuck you money from a financial standpoint. What they don't understand, and what I didn't understand myself until I would say 6 or 7 years ago, so relatively recently in my life, I'm almost 50, is the concept of fuck you in your woman life. Huh? How does that work? Well, if you work hard enough, and if you put the time and effort into it, and I certainly have over the past 15 years of my life, if you put enough time and effort into your physical appearance, if you put enough time and effort into your anti-aging, for those of you over the age of 35, if you put enough time and effort into your game, that means your dating game, your level of skills in terms of online dating or night game or day game or social circle game, all four of which do work as long as you do them correctly. As long as you work at at least one of those skill sets hard and get really good at it, and then a subset of that might be dating game, like how you do on a first or second date, getting to sex very quickly without spending a lot of money. I have all kinds of books about this. Go to calebjones.com. If you put enough effort into your outcome independence, of not giving a shit, of being able to talk to a woman you consider a perfect 10 and not giving a rat fuck whether or not she likes you or not. And it's not an act, it's actually how you feel. If you put enough time and effort into your confidence so you can walk up to a woman you find ultra attractive and talk to her just like I'm talking to you right now in a very relaxed, confident tone of voice, and it's not an act, it's how you really feel. If you put enough time and effort into these things, you will reach a point. I've reached this point several years ago, where you can, logistically speaking, have sex, and that means consensual sex, mutually consensual sex. I always got to throw that in there. Mutually consensual sex with any type of woman, not literally any individual woman, but any type of woman you want with reasonably minimal effort. And when you know you're at that level, you're at the level of fuck you. So if you know you can hook up with a 9 or a 10 within reason, right? You know you can do that whenever you want. And when I say 9 or 10, I got to qualify that. Your definition of a 9 or a 10, because 10 is subjective. What I consider a 10 is going to be radically different than what you consider a 10. And both those women will be radically different than what your best friend or your brother considers a 10. So whatever you consider a 9 or 10, when you get to the point where you know, you don't guess, you don't think, you know for a fact, because you've done it multiple times, you could walk up to a 10 or a 9 and have sex with her relatively soon with relative ease. When you get to that point, you have the woman equivalent of fuck you money. So that means several things. Number one, it means that no one individual woman can dazzle you with her looks. And that was a decision that I made back in 2007 when I made the conversion from beta male to alpha male 2.0, is I made a pact with myself, even when I was still a beta, because I was still a beta in 2007, that I would only go after women I considered really, really attractive. And one of the many reasons I did that is I didn't want any one particular woman to come along who was a lot hotter than the others. I've talked about this many times at my blogs and my books. If you get into the habit of having sex with women who you consider to be 6s and 7s and 5s, when an 8 or a 9 comes along, you're fucked. She can wrap you around her little pinky and she can snap her fingers and make you do whatever the fuck you want, and you'll do it. You'll get instant one-itis because you had a habit of having sex with women who you didn't find super attractive. But if most or all, maybe not all, maybe that's not reasonable, the vast majority of the women you're having sex with are 8s, 9s, and 10s to you, then can any other 8 or 9 or 10 walk over and just say, okay, I want you to do this, because I'm hot, you know it. No, you can't, that can't happen anymore. No one woman has any power over you that way, because you know you can go fuck or get another 8 or 9 or 10 with relative ease. And again, you know it. You don't fantasize about it and think, well, maybe I can. You know it because you're at that level. And again, it takes years. It will take you, if you're starting from absolute zero, if you're a total pussy beta, and you're like I was, you just got divorced or out of a long-term monogamous relationship for many years, and you're starting from 0 or less than 0, it's going to take you a few years to get to this point, a few years of effort. I don't know how many years that'll be, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. Took me probably what? I would say, to get to actual fuck you with women, I would say maybe 8 years. That's a good question. I have to think about that. I don't know how many years that took me. It took me 2.5 years to get good with women, so I knew I could get laid with at least reasonably cute women whenever I wanted. But in terms of I can get laid with even like 9s, 10s whenever I felt like it easily, that took a little longer. But that's my point. It takes a few years. But what I'm saying is, one of the benefits is no woman can come along and dazzle you with her amazing face, her amazing body, her amazing tits, her amazing eyes, her amazing voice, or whatever, because you know you can get someone as good as that whenever you want. You have fuck you money when it comes to women. That's number one. Number two, perhaps even more important, when you are in a relationship with a woman who you consider very hot, and I am, my wife is who I consider to be really, really hot. She's exactly my type. She is the Playboy Barbie platinum blonde with big tits and little body, the size 0 with big tits body that I've fantasized my whole life. I've been with many women who look like that. And so she is very, very, very physically attractive to me, and she always has been. And all of my FBs, all of them, at least right now, this wasn't always true, but for the most part it was true, but certainly today, all of my FBs are smoking hot to me. They're my type. Every guy has different types. But all of my FBs, I have them all over the world now, they're all really, really hot. So every woman in my life is really, really, really hot. I could give you some more details and specifics, but I can't. Some of these women are actual public figures. And they're public figures because of how hot they are. So I'm at that point. So does that mean then that Pink Firefly, my wife, who is very hot, can suddenly one day walk up to me and say, all right, you know what? You need to stop fucking other girls or I'm going to divorce you. Or you need to start spending more money on me or I'm going to leave. Or you need to start spending more time with me and stop working. Or whatever. If you think she can start making demands of me? And because I go, well, she's so hot. This is what most guys do. And I've had a lot of you say this to me. But she's so hot. I mean, if she dumps me, then I won't be able to get a hot girl like this for it'll be 4 or 5 years before I even get a shot at a girl this hot. So I better do what she says. I better, God damn it. Okay. Can my wife do that to me? No, because I have fuck you money with women. And she knows it. My wife knows this. My wife is well aware, especially this year, where I've shown her pictures of pretty much all the women I've been with this year. She is well aware that I can, whenever I want, and I do, have sex with women who are super hot, and in many cases, or most cases, actually in all the cases, younger than her. She's well aware of this. And by the way, if she wasn't 41 years old, which she is now, if she was 25, it'd be the same scenario. She'd be well aware that I was hooking up with women as hot or hotter than her. And she knows this, therefore she knows she can't, throw her weight around and make demands or make threats, and I will capitulate because she knows I think she's really hot. Many of you right now, listen to this podcast, are in a scenario where you're in a relationship with a girl. It could be an MLTR, it could be a girlfriend, it could be a wife, God forbid, it could be a monogamous girlfriend or wife, who you think is really physically hot, and she knows you think of her that way. She knows you think of her that way, meaning she knows she has your balls in the palm of her hand, just like this, and whenever she wants you to do anything, she could just squeeze those balls. You'll say, oh, okay, honey. Oh, okay. Please don't break up with me. Please don't divorce. Okay. She knows this because you don't have fuck you money yet. That's what fuck you money means in terms of women. Fuck you women? I don't know what you would call that, but I'll call it fuck you money in terms of women. F you money in terms of women. Here's something else that F you money with women means. If you ever lose a woman, if a woman leaves you, breaks up with you, dumps you, or if she's an FB, she just moves on and gets a boyfriend or what have you, you don't care. You don't care. You're like, okay, I'll just go get another one. By the way, that's not just F you money, that's alpha male 2.0. I've thought that way for 15 years. When a woman leaves, number one, I don't care because I'm with 4 or 5 other women or 3 or 4 other women. Usually have at least 4 women in my sex life at any given point in time, including today. So I don't care. She's not the only one. Number two, I've said this many times, I have a 94% return rate with women who leave me. So 94% of every woman who has ever left me over the past 14 years has eventually come back into my sex life. Sometimes it takes 6 weeks. Sometimes it takes 2-3 years. But they almost always come back. It's rare that they don't. And I know this. So when they leave, I go, okay. And I've said this many times, when a woman leaves me, okay, I would literally think this. I'll say, all right, see you in a year. See you in 8 months. See you in a year and a half. Oh, I can't be with you anymore because I fell in love with this guy and he's wonderful. We're going to get married and have kids. All right, see you in a year and a half. And I do. Under many circumstances, maybe she breaks up with him. Maybe she cheats on him with me. Maybe they get a divorce. Maybe, who knows? Every scenario you can think of, I've had. But I know this. And certainly if she's really hot, now guys say, well, yes, Caleb, I know. Well, they can leave, but what if they're really hot? I have seen 3 women right now. 2 of them are 5s, but 1 is an 8. And if the 8 leaves, then I'm stuck with these 2 5s. That means you don't have FU money yet because you're concerned. When you have FU money with women, she could be a 10. And if she leaves, you're like, all right, cool. You don't care in terms of the quality or at least the physical appearance of these women. This is even true if a woman leaves you and you're attracted to her, not just her physicality, but other aspects of her. You might say, well, Caleb, she is an amazing woman. I've dated, 32 girls and she's not like any of the rest. Same deal there. When you have FU money with women, you can go out and find a high quality woman so fucking fast, you're really not super concerned. You're just not. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have a very serious relationship or you're married, I have an OLTR marriage, I have a wife. If we got divorced tomorrow, I would be sad. I would be happy about that. I love her very much. I think she's wonderful. I'd like to be with this person the rest of my life if I can. I know what the statistics are, but if I can. So it's not like I would be happy that day, but I wouldn't be distraught and miserable like the vast majority of you motherfuckers when your girlfriend or wife or girl you're dating dumps your ass for some other guy or leaves you or gets bored with you or gets mad at you and leaves, and you guys are basically depressed for 6 months. And you're like, oh, and you get one-itis and you're just stressed out and you show her pictures of you crying on your phone and you're texting her all the time and you're sending me these pussy emails, but Caleb, how do I get her back? And blah, 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 blue. You don't have any of those problems when you have FU money with women. You just don't. Plus, in my case, 94% she'll be back anyway, so who cares? So honestly, who gives a shit? Now, you might think I'm saying this to brag. So my response to that is partially yes, although if I really wanted to brag, could I show you a bunch of photographs that would make me look fucking awesome. I can't do that, mostly for legal reasons, but boy, could I brag. If my goal here was to brag to you, there would be much, 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 much better ways to be bragging to you than me just saying I have FU money with women. Much, much better ways, much more specific and intricate ways, including pictures and audio and video. Not going to do that. So that's not my objective here. Although, yes, technically I have an ego like everybody else. It is nice to kind of say this. What I'm demonstrating to you is if you put in enough time over the years, and it takes several years, you can get to the point in your life where you have quote unquote FU money with women the same way you have quote unquote FU money in your finances. Make sense? And I'm not the only guy like this. I know a few guys who have FU money with girls. These are guys who I know for a fact can get 8s, 9s, 10s whenever they want, relatively easily, and they know it, and all the women know it, so no woman can control these men because they have FU money with women. Now, does that mean that if you have FU money with women, you're automatically protected? No. Unfortunately, and you have seen this many times with very famous, good-looking male celebrities, very famous, good-looking male politicians, very famous, good-looking celebrity athletes, men, unfortunately, have a lot of biology, specifically obsolete biological wiring that I talk about in The Unchained Man at alphamalebook.com that compels them to get one-itis. So unfortunately, yes, you can be a super good-looking guy with amazing game and millions of dollars, and you can still get one-itis for a girl. You saw what happened with fucking Tiger Woods and his first wife. Was it the first wife? Yeah. You've seen numerous celebrity examples of this. And I'm not going to go into all of them because you've already seen all of them. So yes, one-itis is still a danger, but that has nothing to do with the fact that you can or can't get really attractive women whenever you want. That is a separate part of your brain. That's something you need to work on. I haven't had one-itis in 20 years. That's one of the first things in my psyche I fixed. I knew that I could not be long-term happy if I always ran the risk of getting one-itis for a woman. I am married to my wife. I love Pink Firefly. She is the most amazing woman I have ever been with. I love her on literally a spiritual level, a level I've never experienced with any other woman in my life. And I would like to be with this person for the rest of my life. And I don't have one-itis. If she started making demands, she'd be out of my house in 48 hours and I would end the marriage immediately because I don't have one-itis. You can love without having one-itis. That's a very big topic. Maybe we could talk about that in a future podcast. What I'm saying is that you can still have, unlike me, you can still have FU money with women and still be susceptible with one-itis if you don't clean up some other aspects of your psyche and who you are as a man. Those are almost two separate boxes in your brain. But what I am saying is that it's much more difficult, actually it's impossible, for women to make these kinds of demands and you to capitulate like a little bitch when you have FU money with women and when women know it. By the way, something else I do. My wife is really hot and I have pictures of her on my phone, a picture of her and me on my phone. And every time I get a new FB, matter of fact, I've had many of you ask me about this. I will tell any new FB, and I've done this since I've been married, hey, by the way, I'm married. I love my wife, and she's aware of what I'm doing. We have an open marriage, and I kind of explain the system. And sometimes they ask questions, like, oh, that's really interesting. And they ask questions about that. And I always make sure to show them at least 2 or 3 pictures of my wife. And I want to show these women that I'm not one of these sad sack, married, beta male, monogamous guys, you know, going on Seek an Arrangement and looking for a sugar baby to fuck some hot younger girl because he has no game and he's married to a fat older wife. And he's married to some fat non-sexual wife. I want to show these men I have FU money with women, and I might even show them other women I've dated on my phone so they very clearly and quickly understand the status I'm at in terms of my woman life so they know they can't make demands about me. So that works. Even FBs know they can't make these demands because they know. Matter of fact, many times I run into FBs who want to fuck my wife. They're like, God, does your wife like girls? She's hot. kind of fun. And actually, there have been scenarios. Well, I won't get into detail about that. I have a really, really good life. Let's just put it that way. Having FU money with women is an achievable goal. This is an achievable goal. And if you're watching the video of me, or you've ever seen video of me, do you think I'm ripped? Do I look ripped to you? Do you think I have six-pack abs? Do I look like Brad Pitt? No. So you don't have to be good looking to accomplish this goal. Now, you can't be terrible looking. I'm not terrible looking. I don't look bad, right? I spend a decent amount of time maximizing my physical appearance based on the factors I can't control, which is what? Your race, your age, and your height. So those are the only three things you can't control, but you can control everything else. So I have fixed my hair. I have fixed my teeth. I've lost weight. I've improved my skin. I get Botox a little bit. What else have I done? I've done a bunch of things. I'm on TRT, which improves my appearance. So I go as far as I can within reason to make sure that my physical appearance is not bad, because I want to maintain this FU status with women. So, but my point to you is, you don't have to be good looking. You don't have to be an Instagram Chad to reach this point. We have FU money with women. I'm not in that category, and I'm in that point. How do you explain me? Well, Caleb, you make a lot of money. I know guys, I've said this many times before in my articles, and I've shown you proof and evidence of this, and I've given you examples. I know guys, I've known guys, pickup artist type guys, average looking dudes, who are literally homeless, sleeping on their friends' couches. They have no money, and they banged hot girls left and right. So this stupid bullshit about I have to have $1 million in order to get with hot girls, you are a fucking moron and you are wrong. Wrong. It is easier, of course. Of course it's easier, yes. But you don't need it. It's not required. So you don't need to be good looking. You don't need to be rich to get to FU money status with women. You just need to put in the time. And I'll be honest with you, this is something most of you are not going to do. Most of you are not going to take 5, 6, 7, 8 years of your life improving your appearance and improving your woman skills, your outcome independence, your confidence, your dating skills, your appearance. You're not going to spend all that time and effort. You're going to get a girlfriend and get monogamous and go beta. That's what most guys do. So most of you are never going to do this. And that's a sad thing. I'm just telling you, for those few of you who are willing to go down this path and willing to give this a shot, it's a really good place to be. And I've lived this way in terms of sexual abundance with attractive women. I've lived this way for, 14 years minus 2. So 12 years. Lived this way for 12 years. In terms of FU money with women, where I can have sex with ultra hot girls all over the world, I've probably been at that level for maybe, that's a good question again. I'm not sure about the exact line. Maybe 4 years or so. So a few years. And I'm still not 100% accustomed to it. It's still relatively new to me that I can do this. But it's really, really good. It's really, really good. Just last week alone, the things I did in my sex life last week alone. And last week was not an unusual week. It was like a typical week for me. But the stuff I did last week, the last 7 days as I record this podcast, I would love to show you pictures and video. God, I would love to do that, but I can't. But oh my fucking God, it's pretty nice. I've talked about how my whole life, Alpha Male 2.0, financial life, my day-to-day logistics, my sex life, my relationship life, my family life, every part of my life, my travel life is so good. I still can't believe I get to do this. My Mondays are better than most people's Christmases. I still can't believe I get to do this. And I've said that many times. I say it because it's true. And this is an achievable goal for the vast majority of you. Now, maybe if you're 67 years old, you've let your looks go to hell, you don't have a lot of money as a 67-year-old man, okay. I'm sure you could find exceptions where maybe this is not an achievable goal. Maybe. But those are the very odd exceptions. The rule, the vast, vast, vast majority of you listening to my voice, this is an achievable goal for you if you want it. Now, you could also say to me, and this would be okay, you could also say to me, Caleb, I don't need to have sex with 10s or 9s. I just don't need to do that. I just want to have, a long-term girlfriend who is an 8, maybe a 9, who I like a lot, and maybe have 1 or 2 FBs on the side who are like 6s, 7s. And that would make me perfectly, perfectly, perfectly happy. I'm perfectly good with that. That's fine. As long as you're within Alpha Male 2.0 parameters. As long as you don't get monogamous, including de facto monogamous. You only have sex with one girl. As long as you never, ever fucking do that. As long as you don't settle for having sex with ugly or average to you women. When I say ugly or average, I mean ugly or average to you. As long as you don't settle for that, fine. So as long as you're within Alpha Male 2.0 minimums, That's fine. You don't need to get to the point of FU money with women. You don't have to. That's an option. I'm just presenting this topic to those of you that percentage of you who, as I've described what my life is like and how this is like when you're at that level, you're like, wow, that sounds pretty fucking good. I think I want to do that. You can do that. And it's those 4 or 5 things. I'll go through them again really quick. Maximizing your physical appearance as much as you possibly can based on your age, height, and race. Number 2, focusing on your dating skill set, your dating skills. If that's online dating, that means you're really good at online dating and you're good at first and second dates. If that's day game, that means you're good at day game. If that's night game, you're good. Whatever it is, you pick. I don't care. Focusing on that skill set, getting really, really good at it. Number 3, focusing on your outcome independence, which is the single most attractive trait men have to women that is not physical. When you just don't give a shit and she can feel you don't give a shit. You're polite and you're a nice guy, but you clearly don't give a fuck. That is ridiculously attractive to women. And as I've said in the past, the more attractive a woman is, the more it works on her. So outcome independence works much better on 9s and 10s than it does on 6s and 7s by a wide margin. So that's the next thing. Third thing, your confidence, being a confident guy. And confidence is something you have to practice. So working on your confidence level. It's really those 4 things. Appearance, dating skills, confidence, outcome independence. And as always, you got to put in the numbers. That's number 5. So there's 5 things. Put in the numbers. You keep practicing. You keep putting in the numbers. New women getting better and better and better in those 4 areas. You do that for a few years, you can get to that point. You can. I never thought I would get to that point, and it wasn't even a goal I had. I didn't have a goal of I want to bang 10s. I never had that goal. Honestly, I never did. Never had that goal ever. It's just something that was a natural evolution for me in terms of the growth in my life and my international lifestyle and all that other stuff. So that's it for the first video Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. All future podcasts will be like this. And I'm super curious for those of you who are listening to me instead of seeing me if I have come across any different in this podcast. Based on what I can tell, I don't think I have. I sound pretty much the same, I think. But I'd be curious. Let me know. All right. See you soon. Bye.